Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Romance Unraveled. This is one of your co hosts, Jacob Bozen.
And this is Chris, your other co-host.
So, today we have one of my best friends with us. Her name is Laura. Laura and I met in DC and then she moved away. I won't really say where. I don't know if she wants me to say. But we've stayed
I'm in Kansas City. It's okay.
Kansas
It's
City.
funny because we've got three people on. We've got one in the middle of the states, one on the east, and one on the west right now.
Yeah. All different time zones. But yeah, so the story that Laura will be telling us today, I just know the punchline. I think it's going to be great. It'll probably be one of our most popular stories, I think. So, Laura, let's have you introduce yourself and then we can get right into the story.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Laura. Jacob's been wanting me to tell this story for a while, and it does have a good punchline. Kind of scary, kind of strange, kind of hilarious, all at the same time. However, keep in mind, this was 13 years ago. So I've been trying to kind of figure out, okay, how is this relevant today? And it's foggy, that's a long time. My memory is foggy. I'm a mom now, like that just kind of goes after a while. But as I've been thinking about it today and yesterday, putting the pieces back together, I actually think with the, you know, handful of highlights and snapshots of memory that I have of this, I wouldn't call it a relationship, but dating experience with this particular person, I think it actually could bring up some important and relevant discussion that, yeah, would still be applicable today, that I think a lot of people today definitely face, especially even more so with all of the new apps. Back then, it was just pretty much Match.com.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, let's just get right into it.
So I was in my mid 20s. I had moved to a new city, having a great time. It was my first real experience really being an adult and getting out and dating. Match.com, like I said, was kind of the popular thing. I don't even think there was an app yet. I remember just using the website. And so I was really naive. Nowadays, people getting into dating apps or websites automatically come in knowing like, okay, this is probably going to be a shit show, and let's go for a ride and see how it goes. Back then, I was like full of hope. I was excited. I thought I was going to find a husband,
I
and
think most people today, though, they have that perspective as well. I think it's just has always been bad.
yeah, probably. And so, yeah, I went in hopeful and idealistic, and some of them were kind of fun. I quickly realized though that people there's just a lot of very interesting people out there. We all kind of have our own like small bubbles of people and close friends and things, and when you get out dating and like it's a whole new ballpark with the types of people. This one in particular, it sounded really fun and fascinating and interesting. He happened to be the mascot for a pro football team, like the one that puts on the costume and goes and runs out on the field. And it just sounded really fun. And so we went out. Our first date,
So, did he have this in his profile that he was a mascot?
um,
Or did you just find that out through conversation?
I don't remember. I don't remember, but I do believe I knew it before the first date going into it.
Okay.
And gosh, looking back, I was way too trusting. Oh my gosh, I was so trusting. The dates I went, our first date was him picking me up in his Jeep. And the way he talked about it, it was going to be like this awesome date, and he was excited to take me out in a nice restaurant and everything. So I was really excited. I had on like this beautiful dress. I looked great. He picked me up in his Jeep, and we went riding like down country roads, and it was actually really fun and really beautiful. The top was down, wind blowing in your hair, very idyllic. And it was good conversation, actually. He was definitely very confident seeming, maybe a little too much, just very gregarious, like very outgoing. But I was giving him all of the benefit of the doubt. I was really open to meeting all kinds of new people. And so we are enjoying the ride, and I'm thinking we're going to like a nice restaurant to have a nice date where we can really connect and get to know each other. And he kind of like jokingly and serious pulls up to the drive-through of a fast food barbecue joint. And I'm a little bit confused. And he looks at me kind of like, well, here we are. And it was okay. Back then, like I didn't have super high expectations, but the bit that was a bit confusing was that he talked it up as like some big important fancy date, and then he's taking me to the drive-through of a like hole in the wall barbecue joint.
Yeah, and after like you
Uh,
have gotten all ready and you're in a dress and
yeah,
everything, yeah, I can see that.
and yeah, so it was in the moment. I was doing all the things that I used to do. I don't know if I would do it anymore if I started dating again, but just, oh, well, maybe he's nervous or maybe this or maybe that. And so I just let it go and I went with it and ate the barbecue. But looking back, I think this was one of the number of signs when I look at the big picture that kind of paints a bigger picture that we'll kind of get to a little bit later. But the vibe of it was a test. Like, have you guys experienced in dating when you feel like instead of someone genuinely, authentically getting to know you, they are almost testing you?
Um,
And there's something about it that feels a little bit uncomfortable.
yeah, I would say sometimes it feels like either they're trying to figure out something about you, or like I feel like every question or something has like kind of something behind it. So I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, like a little bit manipulative. Anyway, so that was just the first thing that I didn't think anything of it at the time, but like, when grouping all of the experiences together, it makes more sense. The next snapshot I have in my memory with him was this one's interesting. He, I remember he showered me with so much praise and compliments, like just over the top about how I looked, about my personality, just, really trying to feed my ego and everything. And it was nice. I was accepting the compliments. But then what quickly happened, and this is all within the span of maybe 4 or 5 dates, so it happened very quickly. He started to give the compliment, but then compare me to the cheerleaders on the football team that he worked with. So it was kind of like, I think there's a word for this. I wrote it down. Is it negging, where you disguise an insult or criticism in a statement that appears on the surface to be a compliment? Looking back, I think that's what this was. He
So
would
when
give
you
me,
say he was comparing you to the other cheerleaders, was it as far as like he thought they were prettier than you or what?
I remember just feeling strange about it because he would use this so often. He brought it up so often. He would say, "Oh my gosh, you are like so hot. You are so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. But those cheerleaders, oh my gosh, like you could never measure up to them. They are like," and he would talk about their
What?
tight
Ew.
bodies and it was really gross. Yeah. And so it was like he's disguising this compliment, but also kind of trying to make me feel inferior at the same time. I
Which is
didn't
so
know it.
funny to me because you could literally fit in almost perfectly with the stereotypical cheerleader look. And that's a
And
compliment.
yeah, back then I agree. Back then, not anymore. I wouldn't say that anymore. But yeah, it's looking back, like I can see how I think it might have been related to his own insecurity. He was acknowledging, okay, you're very attractive, but I need to make you feel less attractive so that I can feel better type of thing. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I get when I look back. Um,
Laura, can I ask, did he ever compliment anything like else about you? It sounds like he's very interested in like, or maybe focusing more like on your physical appearance.
yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because at the time I worked with a girl who had a rare genetic disorder. I worked privately with their family, and so she had a lot of special needs. It was very challenging, hard work, and he noted that, and he gave a lot of praise to that, and um, it seemed to be something he really liked about me. But then he took that, and instead of like how with the looks he started kind of devaluing me with the cheerleader stuff, he quickly with this took me from this person with like high morality and doing such good work in the world, whatever, to him kind of putting himself above me, making me fear because of his religion. And he started trying to teach me about Jesus. He gave me a Bible on
Oh,
it was like
oh,
the last or the second to last time we went out. So it was that weird, like, okay, you're great and all, but you are morally inferior because you don't follow Jesus to this extreme extent that I do. And I, need to teach you about that for you to be worthy, type of thing.
this sounds like it's a lot about him.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And that's a very good point that with all of these little memories I have, it paints a very clear to me now that I've like spent all these years, had other experiences and educated myself on the narcissistic
Hmm.
traits in an individual.
Yeah.
This one, I would definitely have considered him the overt variety.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, and so there's that. And then there's two more that I'll talk about. The, the next one, and this is actually like a really fun memory. I'm actually glad that I have this memory because it was pretty cool. One of the evenings, it was like 11 or 12 in the evening at night, and he had access to the stadium. And so we went in a totally empty, huge stadium at night after hours. And he took me to the like props room or whatever. And we got on his little motorcycle that he would ride around the field. And we got to ride around like all of the hallways of the stadium. And it was actually super fun. But I do remember during that, I was scared. I would tell him here and there, okay, slow down. I'm not comfortable with this. I don't think I had a helmet on.
Yeah.
And it was really scary. And I was expressing that to him, and it didn't change his behavior. Like he would still go really fast, and I was still scared. And I was, I was, I would probably consider myself a bit of a pushover back then, not because I really was, but just because I was young and kind of naive. I hadn't had these types of experiences really, so I didn't know what to look for, and I don't think I had the confidence to be able to say like, "Hey, stop! This is not okay." I did the thing that I think a lot of us do where we try to make excuses for them and think, "Oh, well, maybe this, maybe that." So I did a lot of that, and so while it was a fun experience, that in combination with the Jeep outing, which he was also driving really fast and kind of aggressively then,
So
it
driving like
made,
me.
yes. Oh gosh, you guys. Oh wow, Jacob and his driving. Have you ever ridden with him, Chris?
I have.
I have to tell him. I have to remind him, Jacob, I have a child. Anyway, so it reminded me, and this is getting back while I'm putting the pieces together of the tactics of somebody that has narcissistic traits when they have, a desire to like control a partner. Um, on The Bachelor, I don't know if you guys have ever watched it. What they do regularly is they put the contestants, the main contestant and a couple, in a very fearful situation. A lot of times they'll take one of the women when it's the bachelor and something that is her greatest fear, like heights, they'll have their date be, tightrope walking across something or like something very terrifying related to heights. And the reason they actually do this is because it creates a sense of bonding with the person that you're with when you're in a fearful situation, because it releases endorphins and dopamine and all this stuff, and it gives this almost false sense of bonding with somebody prematurely. And I don't know if it would have been conscious in his mind or not, or subconscious, but looking back, it kind of felt like he was either trying to see how far he could get, or the subconscious way of attempting to make me feel, I don't know, dependent on him in a way.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so this leads to the last snapshot, which is the funny one that Jacob has been wanting me to talk about. And I was at his house, sitting on the couch in the living room. We were just talking. I don't know, we might have played a card game or something. It was just regular hanging out. And he got up, he was walking around the kitchen, and how I said he was very loud and gregarious. He was kind of, showy. He was very showy and making jokes and just talking, socializing. And then he picked up his little dog. There
What
was
kind of dog?
nothing. It was like a scraggly little mutt looking thing. It was a sweet dog, but yeah, he looked like a kind of a scraggly mutt that you'd find off the street. And he picked it up. He had it in one hand. He's huge, by the way. And this dog is very small. He's holding it like with one hand under its chest. And his microwave is not even like on the countertop. It's up high, like over the stove. He picks it up with one hand, opens the microwave, puts the dog in, and shuts the door. With no
so
explaining, no reasoning, no. It was a very, very, very confusing situation. And he was having a great time. He was cracking up. He thought it was absolutely hilarious. I, of course, was kind of in a weird state of confusion and shock, and kind of trying, I kind of nervously laughed. I think it was odd. He didn't turn it on. If he had turned it on, like, that would have been a whole nother story. But he put it in there for a while and then took it back out like it was no big deal, and thought it was just hilarious. And that I really can't say any more about his intentions or details surrounding that event. It was the strangest thing. As I take all of these instances and put them back together with all of the knowledge I have now about narcissistic abuse in intimate relationships and dating relationships, what it feels like to me, looking back, was maybe a type of test. How far can I push you? What is going to shock you? What isn't? How far can I go before you will hold me accountable, potentially? Yeah, so the shock value. Another thing that's kind of eerie is, a trait that is very common in these types of individuals is just the power, like the control over another. And it kind of felt like that. He's this big, huge guy with this tiny little dog that he has power and control over. And he would want to exert that by putting him in a microwave and thinking it's funny. So I don't know.
Were you guys drinking at this time, or was this
No,
just a sober
he didn't
thing?
even drink. He
Wow.
didn't even drink. He was really like on his high horse religiously and everything.
So here's your Bible. Let me give you the Bible that you have to read, you have to commit your life to. But let me put my dog in the microwave.
He even
Like,
signed
make it
it
make
for me.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it could definitely be considered animal abuse. there wasn't any harming of the dog necessarily, but like that could still be a pretty scary situation for the dog. And why did he even think to do that in the first place? Um, so I think while all these memories are kind of spotty and random and just snapshots of our short time together, I think, the takeaway is there's a lot of danger, I feel like, in dating. And a lot of people experience a lot of trauma because we're not taught about these types of things at an early age. And we're not really taught to notice the signs. Like that, I am 100% certain that if I would have continued to engage and been in a relationship with this person, that it would have been an abusive relationship, at least psychologically.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah.
So when he put the dog in the microwave, did you say anything to him? And what were the next few days like? Did you just shut it down? Did you stop talking to him? Like, did you tell him that was weird? Like, what was that process?
I felt very awkward, but I wasn't in my power at that time. Um, I I think kind of what I did is just kind of brush it off like a nervous giggle, like didn't really address it. Um, didn't know what to do. And that's actually another common sign. That's one of the more like subtle ones is when like just confusion, the feeling of confusion and it being when you're with a person with these types of traits, not really understanding and like trying to put pieces together in your head, making it make sense, and it doesn't. That's also like a really big sign. I don't know if it's intentional on their part, but it's almost kind of an attempt to throw you off and put you in a vulnerable position where they have a little bit more ability to control your perceptions. Anyway, so all I remember is it ended very shortly after, if not after that night. And I remember sitting on my couch in my apartment, and I believe I broke up with him by text. I can't even remember. But what I do remember is getting uh, one after another, after another, after another of really awful, mean, cruel text messages back. This was the first time I had experienced anything like that. He was 1 second pursuing me, and as soon as I broke it off, the next second it was, obvious verbal abuse. And I remember Googling for the first time, like, what is this? And I came across overt narcissism. And I had never even really thought about that before or even really knew what it was at the time. But I remember sitting on that couch with my jaw dropped, reading all of the bullet points of what this is and thinking, oh my gosh, yes, 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 exact, exact, exact. And unfortunately, I think it's very, very common. I know at least a couple of your friends, Jacob, have experienced a relationship with these type of traits. I don't know about you, Chris. Have you? Or do you know people that have?
I have not quite to that extent.
Mhm.
Yours is pretty extreme, it sounds like. But yes, I think, towards the end there, it seems like his true colors really showed, if not even before that. Was there any, after you broke up with him and kind of like all those texts, was there any other type of interaction after that?
Okay, no, but oh my gosh, this just happened this year. Hold on, let me find it. He texted me.
Oh God.
He texted me 12, 13 years later, and here it is. It says, okay, Laura, I just rando thought of you and searched my phone for your number, exclamation mark. What happened to ya over these dozen years? Exclamation mark, question mark. And this is another clue, which is consistent with the, I don't know if you've heard of hoovering, where after a long period of no contact, for some reason or another, they'll circle back around and kind of try to hook you again or see if they still have any power. And they will act like it's no big deal, like nothing ever happened, and pretend like, oh, I haven't seen you forever. What's up? And then you can even kind of sense the devaluing like energy a little bit, like, oh, I just randomly thought of you, whatever, how are you doing? And yeah, so it just, ugh, when I got it, it gave me really creepy vibes.
Oh,
And I
that,
didn't answer,
oh, good.
of course.
I'm glad you did not.
But I think I think it's just an important conversation. And I wish that this, I don't know, maybe it is now, but I wish this type of stuff was taught in detail. I wish the subtleties of it and the signs that are hard to see were really taught to even children, middle school age or something, just so that they're able to spot it when they see it. Because the nature of this type of relationship is that you don't see it because it's so confusing and you start to doubt yourself. And then you don't see it until tons of trauma has already happened. And then you're finally able to get out. And while there's definitely some positives in that, you learn a lot. You learn a lot of compassion. You learn, how to find healthy relationships. You're able to support others who have experienced it also and have empathy. I mean, it is 100% avoidable if people just really talked about it more and had an outlet to educate themselves that was more mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And not even in like a romantic relationship, but just sometimes like within friendships and like friends groups, you can see these personalities kind of come out. Glad that you made it out safely out of
Yeah.
that. Certainly learned from it. Um, and we're able to share your story.
Yeah.
Great, Laura. Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your story. I guess this is where we can end it with the guy who put his dog in the microwave. I've never thought I would hear such a thing, but I guess there's worse things out there. For our listeners, as always, make sure you subscribe and save. We're streaming anywhere you get your podcasts. And make sure you rate us. That helps us in the algorithms as well. And you can follow us on social media. It's Romance Unraveled on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you have a story to share, you can go on to social media, whatever platform, you can message me, and I will get you scheduled to come on the show. Until next time.